Welcome to the Creation of Living podcast. I'm your host, Heather Nichols, and I'm delighted you're here. Join me for conversations and inspirations for creating way more in every area of your life and living. Welcome, everybody, to the Creation of Living podcast. I'm so delighted this week to have the amazing Brendon Watt with us. Brendon is an access consciousness facilitator, one of the big four, they call them.
Yeah, I'm a lion.
Exactly. Who facilitates alongside of Simone Milasas and Gary Douglas and Dane here, choice of possibilities classes and a lot of other amazing classes in access consciousness, and just a huge contribution and a beautiful being. So thank you for being here, Brendon.
Thank you for having me on here. How did I get so lucky?
I know, me too. And we were chatting before we went live about this idea of the long game, and a conversation that you and I had at a choice of possibilities class a few years ago, I think, about parenting and really how you actually really helped me to see that I could parent my kids from the long game, like really actually as infinite beings, and allowing them to make choices now that would give them awareness that could even, go beyond this lifetime.
Yeah.
And having being the space for that and allowance for that. And it changed so much for me and I know a lot of other people that were there, about parenting and really seeing such a different perspective on, parenting and my kids. And we were just chatting before we started here about how that really, you can apply that to everything, this idea of the long game and with life and what you're choosing and what you're creating. And so let's dive into that.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's like I like a lot through my life. I've it's like I want this now. So it's like you won't look at what it's creating, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, whatever, however many years into your future. But the awareness that the choice that you make doesn't just create what shows up in your life now, it keeps going, is really a kind of a tough one to get, because it's like then you're like, oh, but that would make me have to be really aware of what I'm creating. But you would take it like that, but it's not like that, because that would be the idea that one choice rules your future.
Yeah.
But it's the choices that we make now that set us up for the next choice. So it's like the thing with the thing with choice is, it's not just necessarily, okay, I'm choosing this now. It's okay, what space am I choosing this from? Am I choosing this from, I've already made a decision, therefore this choice is just to validate what I've already decided? Or am I choosing this to get an awareness of, okay, what did that create? Like with what you talked about with, was it Jaden?
Yeah, it was Jaden.
Yeah. And with that, was you made one choice that day and it opened up a new door for the next choice, and then the next choice, and then that. But it's this exploration of, okay, what next?
Yeah.
What next? And what and really only I'm just starting to get a lot more is really following the energy. Because we've talked about it forever in access, and we've done a lot of access, and we've talked, mine only just follow the energy, as in if truly is, if it's heavy, it's bullshit, basically. And it's talk about a different way to navigate your life, because you no longer have an excuse for anything. That you are following your knowing through using it to navigate everything that you choose. Not, I mean, like I said, I'd always done this thing of, well, let me just choose it regardless because I just want it and I'm just having it and blah, blah, blah. Conclusion,
Yeah.
conclusion, conclusion. But with this is, it's like the best way I can say is it's like you kind of, it doesn't bring the 2x4 to your head.
Totally.
Now,
Totally.
I've had a lot of 2x4s to my head, so I
Oh
know.
man, me too. Well, I was just thinking about how I can't remember the exact quote, but Gary Douglas, who's the founder of Access Consciousness, he says, one moment of unconsciousness creates a lifetime of, I don't remember what he says,
Pain and
but like
suffering.
pain and suffering. Yeah. And that's that, like, where you're like, oh, I'm just going to ignore my awareness, or I'm just going to choose what I want, not what I know is going to create the greatest future,
Yeah.
But and that's one thing I love about Access Consciousness is how pragmatic it is energetically. I mean, it's pragmatic in every way, but you go to the energetic pieces of it, and look at, okay, so what is this choice creating for my future and for the future? And if there's an expansion of energy and a sense of lightness and a sense of it opening up, it's like, then it's so pragmatic to choose whatever that is, because you're going to get, it's feeding the long game of where you'd like to actually go in the future you'd like to create.
Well, yeah, and that's easy to that's an easy easy way to choose once you have a demand in your world for possibilities.
Yeah.
And that, like, I mean, I've been facilitating the choice possibilities class for 4 years now, and it's only been the last few months that I've really started stepping into something different. But the other thing is we have, like, it's so many things, but it's like we have a lot of, secret agendas that run our life. Like, you'll have some energy in your life, or like let's say with finance, one of the things I've been looking at finance a lot lately, and because I got to a point where it's just like I was stressed about my future, my money, all of it. And I started like getting really present with it and looking at it going, okay, if I don't look at this now, this is that long game. That's not going to be pretty. So I started looking at it. And one of the things I realized, and Gary had been poking me about it for basically since I started Access, going, you just want to be a kept man, which is you just want someone to take care of you. And I did not want to look at it. No, la, 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 and earmuffs. And I started getting really present with it and looking at it. And I was going, holy shit, there's actually something there. And it wasn't until I got present with that there is something there that I actually got, that I could actually change it. And it was running my life. I kept looking for, because it wasn't only looking for it see, you have a secret agenda like that. That was mine. It was an agenda that I had that I kept so secret that even I didn't want to see it.
Yeah.
And so I had that, but it wasn't just in one area. I'd extrapolated that into creating limitations in my whole life. So it wasn't just in relationship. It was in business. It was in money. It was in all these other areas. Like, I looked at it and went, holy shit. Like, I even have Access as this outside source. Please keep me so that I don't have to be the force and the source and the creator of possibilities in the world. And so in seeing that, I was just like, holy shit. And I got like vulnerable with myself enough to be really present with it. I went, okay, whose point of view is that? But you can't even go to that question of whose point of view is that? Who does that belong to? Until you're willing to bring it up and be present with it. Yeah. And I see so many of us, like for me with that, I had so much judgment of that. Like if the world was to find out that like I was actually wanting to be a kept man, it's like everyone would think I'm pathetic and like I'm not. What? Yeah. So I'm hiding all of that from myself so that other people and using other people's projections as an excuse for not being present with something that if I was willing to be present with it and vulnerable with myself, would actually expose what it truly is, which is an energy that I'm aware of, that's familiar to me because it was in a lot of people's lives when I was growing up that I wanted to take care of.
Wow.
And then when I started getting that, I just started melting, and I was like, oh, wow, talk about how much receiving we have to eliminate in order to fight against being kept.
Okay, say more about that. Like, that's because it's one of those, everything is the opposite of what it appears to be,
Yeah.
where you think, oh, being a kept man, is total receiving,
Yeah. No. Total receiving if you have no point of view about it.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is what I was not at that. It was let me manifest it as my life, create it as how my life shows up. And while not acknowledging it, while fighting against it because I have so much judgment of it, and then wondering why I can't receive. But so say if you look at it, yeah, I'm not very fucking smart, but that's me. But if you look at that, it's like you need to first of all create the projection and expectation with yourself. That projection of, well, that's bad, that's wrong, and the expectation of, I should be that, I don't even want to look at that, and that should be different. Blah blah blah. You create this separation from yourself and what you've decided you actually are, and that's all the judgment, and where all the judgment lives. And then it's like, so now you've just got this big pile of shit that you're trying to hide from yourself that you're putting all of your energy into keeping secret while not even knowing it's there. Here's the big thing, not even knowing it's there.
Yeah.
Which is eliminating everything that you're actually that's actually that you can actually receive from. But if you actually received from it, then you'd have to be present with the fact that you're a lot more than what you've decided you are, and everything that you're keeping secret from yourself.
Wow.
And
That's probably one that listeners might want to like rewind a few times and re-listen before going on.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, my question with it was, and I mean, we've been talking about secret. It came up again at the ESB that we were just at, secret agendas. But we've been the first choice of possibilities class I did. It was, we have these things in Access where something will come up and we'll hammer it for months, basically until it breaks apart in things, and then it's like 10 years later they'll come back. Well, this is one of them.
Yeah,
definitely. It's like I started getting the sense of this, going, oh, that's, and this was, when I did my first choice of possibilities class, it was all on secret agendas. And so with this, and it's like, but I didn't. So the question, like I would say to ask, is how many secret agendas do I have that I've kept so secret that I can't even see them, that keeps them running my life, so that I never actually get to create it and I never have choice.
Wow. That's awesome.
And then pock and pod that shit.
Yeah. So Pock and Pod is, for those of you who don't know, is that we say the superheroes of consciousness. It's the clearing statement, the Access Consciousness clearing statement, which is, like a shortened version of lots of things that really just breaks apart the energy and deletes it. So everything, all of that is, let's destroy it and create it. Right, wrong, good, bad, all nine, POC, pod, shorts, boys and beyonds. And you don't even have to know what it is or how it works for it to work. That's the beauty of it. Yeah. So yeah, the thing, it's so interesting because you, the thing about like, so our point of view creates our reality, right? And so, for example, something like being a kept man, it's like the point of view underneath all of that, my guess is something probably around like not being capable of creating for yourself, not being able to be the source for everything that you desire to create. And then, if you had said earlier, you extrapolated that into every area of your life and you didn't know it, it's like now all of a sudden you have this point of view, that it's like your starting point. You don't even know it's there. And then all of a sudden you're like sprinkling it through every area of your life, basically pooing on everything, and having no idea that that's going on because we don't want to get present enough to look at that stuff.
Well, and that's the thing too, is with access and using these tools and to the best of your ability, using more tools, asking more questions, being more present in your life. It gets to a point where, you might not have a cognitive awareness of something, but you certainly start getting the energy there of the big fucking elephant shitting on your head. And you start going, okay, what, and that's like, for me, like I said, I'd heard this for 12 years and it got to a point where I realized that, okay, now is the time where I need to be present with this and actually change it because my demand had changed.
Yeah.
So it's like you get to these points where you go from going, my life's okay being this big to that is not big enough, and then your demand in your world, expands 10,000 fold. Yeah. Well, in order for you to actualize that demand in your world, you're going to have to look at all of the things that don't allow you to actualize it.
Yeah.
Which is where, for me, what I'd had in the past was I had a lot of back doors in place so that when that energy came up of, oh, I could take one more step and I'd be so free of all of this, let me go backwards to the comfort. So you always have that, because see, the other thing with this is, for me, was I always had some with that as a creating that as my reality, was I always had someone or something else to blame. Mm-hmm. If the world went to shit, well, it's not my fault. Rather than, what, I'm happy for it to be my fault because I'm going to be the source, not only for my life, for something different in the world. That's a demand that you're not going to be able to keep in place. Those things, those secret agendas that are basically the bricks around your feet sinking you.
Wow. Yeah. So everything that is.
Everything that brought up.
Yeah. That's the story to create it. Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and popcorn, 9 shorts, boys and beyonds.
Wow. Yeah. And if you look at the long game, it's like the long game is the sinking with the bricks on your feet.
Yeah.
When you're functioning from that, like, it's just amazing. There's just so many things that we function from that we have no idea.
Well, no idea. Well, yeah, no idea. And it's like, but the really, like, one of the big keys is getting present in your life.
Yeah.
Like really starting to question everything and getting present with, okay, what's actually true for me here? Because it's like, I got to a point in looking at this where I was like, okay, is it actually true for me? Would that be enough for me? And I was like, no, like really, yeah. No, it wouldn't. Even if I'm acting like it wouldn't. It doesn't make me any lighter. So it's like, then recognizing that in that willingness to be present in your life, going, okay, so what is a small choice right now that would create something different with this, or more ease with this? Not going to, oh my God, that's terrible and wrong, let me hide it from myself even more. It's like, what I've noticed for me, and I'm so grateful that I get to have these conversations, because it's like, why not just bring it up? Because I can guarantee you, if I've got it going on in my life, that 99% of everybody else has it going on in theirs.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Yeah, totally. And we get to like expose these things to ourselves and with each other. And
yeah,
I mean, just, yeah, like, it's like that first conversation, the conversation that about the long game with parenting, just bringing like where we went with that, and the gift that it was to so many people to look from a totally different point of view, it's like, it's
Yeah. And
amazing.
it was a really beautiful thing to like watch the sparks fly in your world with that, like to where it was like, this is terrible and wrong, and he's choosing this, and it's like, I don't know how to control him, I don't know how, and it's like, looking at it from, because we become our problems, like we think there's no way out of it, we just become that energy of it, we're just like, heavy, blah, like, rather than, okay, taking a different perspective and looking at it and going, okay, so keep going down this path, keep buying this as real and true. What's it going to be like in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
What's it going to be like in a month, a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? And the like with being present with that energy, you're going to get a sense of, is your life going to be heavier in 2 weeks or lighter? Is your life going to be heavier in a month or lighter? And you start getting that, and it's like, and now rather than trying to fix the problem, you can go, oh, what small choice could I make right now that's more in the direction of lightness rather than in that direction of heaviness?
Yeah. And I love that question about the small choice, because we
Yeah.
think that we have to make, like you said, like the one choice that will change everything, but that's not a reality. Like that's such a fantasy
Yeah.
that people live from, that you can just make one choice one time and then everything's going to be different. Whereas like these small choices that open doors, and then there's more awareness of more choices, and then you make those choices, and then you open more doors, and you end up somewhere not at all where you thought you were going to be,
Yeah.
and yet it's like, but it's this progression of, like these breadcrumbs in the universe or whatever, that, as we make those little choices, we have no idea so often the impact that they have on the future.
Yeah. Well, and each one of them is like, one of the things for me that I've gotten a lot recently is a lot more strength in my world. And
Mm,
that was like, I've talked a lot on social and everything about working on addiction. And
mhm.
for me, like I'd get to, for me, it was with alcohol. And so, but I'd get to like, I'd start getting to this like more and more strength. And then that would be too undefinable, too uncomfortable. And I go, okay, back to the addiction. And as I've stopped that and actually been present with it and been working through it, it's like, what I've noticed is in each and every choice, when I've made a choice for something greater, it's like I get so much more strength, which is like, and in kind of like trying to put it into words, is it's like, if you like, then the next choice, basically what it does for me is in every choice, I am less and 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 less likely to choose away from me. So
That
it's
is
like,
amazing.
it's like, and I want to like say, you're building this platform with every single choice that you make, because you start getting a sense of what's actually true for you. And then what it does is it gives you an awareness of the energy from which you choose. And then when in every choice, you start choosing from this, basically an awareness of energy that you're not willing to have less of. So you'll go, you know what, that made me feel like shit. That is not good enough for me anymore. That took me out of allowance. That is not good enough for me anymore. I just judge myself. That is not good enough for me anymore. I just, I didn't have whatever that is, but or I just went to fight, or, I just went to upset. I just went out of question. You start getting an awareness that, you know what, that is not one of those small choices that I'm going to make right now.
I love that.
And it's like, and that starts really, then you start getting an awareness of you start getting an awareness of basically of what's what's real and true for you, rather than let me choose in this cesspool of shit, thinking that I'll finally find that one golden choice that will get me out of it. Well, when you realize the pile of shit is of your making, and that kicking around in it is all of the small choices that you're making to stay in it, that the next choice of what would actually be, what's one small choice, and what you can also ask is, what's one small choice for consciousness? Because then you're including the universe. You're getting an awareness of what's one small choice for consciousness right now that would create more ease with this. Could be, okay, rather than calling somebody and going to defense, which I know I want to do so bad right now, and I so want to just make them wrong. Rather than doing that, be present with that energy and go, oh, okay, you know what? I'm going to put that phone call off until tomorrow. And then you wake up tomorrow, and because of that one choice, the universe has contributed this whole other awareness of something. You've been willing to have it because of that one choice. And then the next day, it's just like, oh, that energy is just not even there anymore. Wow.
Yeah, like something that you think is going to be monumental.
Yeah.
And getting over, and then it's just gone because you've chosen something that you didn't even think would be related to it or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like, there's such a big piece of this, of like being willing to be uncomfortable, and I mean, like with presence is it's so interesting, because getting present with something, and getting present with yourself, it's one of those things that like people avoid like the plague. It's literally just like the least popular thing to do for so many people. And the thing that's so fascinating about it is, what I've seen is like every time I get present with something that I haven't wanted to be present with, because I thought, unbeknownst to me, I had a point of view that it was going to be uncomfortable or too hard to handle or whatever. It's like, doesn't take very long for there to just be so much space that opens up, and awareness and possibility. And I mean, presence is just, it's magical, and yet like our whole reality is created around avoiding it.
Yeah, well, it's like, as long as you can avoid presence, you can avoid receiving, you can avoid being, you can avoid ease, you can avoid joy, you can avoid glory, you can avoid.
Yeah.
And as long as you can avoid, you have an excuse. And as long as you have an excuse, then it's like you don't even have to consider stepping into something beyond what you've defined yourself as. Or see, the other thing with that is, defined yourself as, but also been defined as, which is the other one that gets us.
Yeah.
You'll be defined as, well, I'm Brendon Watt. And, for me, it was, well, you're like, I got told growing up, well, it's like, you're going to be, you get a relationship, you get a trade, which is like a construction job, you'll basically grow old, die, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, and I just bought it hook, line, and sinker. And just went, okay, that's all I can have. Okay, fine. I'll just go down that, while knowing that there was something more, but I built myself a box based on what had been given to me. And I see so many people with that, but it's like, but in this conversation that we're having, it's like, if I would have had these tools, and I do, so getting out of it is like, and is happening a lot quicker now, only because it's like, I'm starting to realize that box isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
We believe it is. Like,
it never was.
It never was.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the financial thing that I talked about. It was like, I was like, there's no way out of this. And I was like, wait a minute, I actually know more. I know better than this.
Yeah.
I have the tools. So, so it's like, there's so much more possible for us if we're willing to, well, first of all, stop trying to get our lives right.
Yeah.
Be that vulnerability with yourself of, what, here I am. I fucking have a financial problem right now. I'm making it a problem.
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever. But it's like, be present with that. Don't hide it from yourself. Don't hide it from, you know, it doesn't mean you go around telling people. I tell people now because it's like, I desire to contribute to people.
Yeah.
But it's like, but be present. Bring the shit up in your life that you're hiding from yourself.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to start getting a sense of how easy it is to get free of things, but you can't get free of the things that you keep secret from yourself.
Yeah. I want to come back also to something you said earlier about having a demand for possibilities in your world, because that's, to me, it's like such a key piece of all of this, that, you know, as we have spoken to that, it's like that you get more and more of that as you go in a lot of ways. And yet it's, you know, I think it is something like when you were talking about, you know, you were given this box of being a tradesman, and that was like, here's the option, and you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll do that, you know.
Yeah.
um but so many people that are drawn to this work have that demand for possibilities that, you know, might be like, the fire might be a little dim, or it might be extinguished, you know, almost totally, but there's a little spark there, you know. And it's some recent things that I've gone through with my son, the one Jaden that we, you know, had that conversation with about years ago, really came from that, like having a demand, like both allowance with what he was choosing and what he was going to choose, and like like having this sense of the long game, with being willing to allow him to make crappy choices, you know, but then also this sense in my world of like, but I know what's possible, you know, I know what's possible, I know what's available, and really stepping into that in such a different way, and being a demand for me to have greater possibilities in my life, that then translated to how I was with him, and now how he's showing up. And I mean, it just made me think of this, because I just had a conversation with him, where he was just basically telling his dad and I about how he's learning to get present with himself, you know,
Wow.
and like really being present with his feelings and emotions, and a whole, like, it's more of a therapy model, but really cool to hear my kid talking about this. Like, I'm learning to be my own therapist and look at stuff on my own, and, you know, all these things. So so cool.
That is such a gift. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, it was really, really amazing. But it came, like, the thing that changed it, that like had us sort of jump tracks to this track, you know, was this demand for possibilities that I have. But when I went, okay, I'm turning this up now, like I'm turning this way up, because there's so much more here that's available for me and for the world, and more, you know. And I had no idea, I wasn't even really asking in the direction of parenting.
Yeah.
But it, you know, again, then it goes into every area of your life.
Yeah, it does. And it's like, and things start showing up as if by magic, like all the ways in which things can actually be actualized start occurring, and you start going, wow, like the less point of view I have, the more ease my life shows up with, and the less I resist this, it's like the more I start receiving this. And it's like, and you really start getting a sense that consciousness truly is everything is included. But when we do this thing of like, you know, the secret agendas and all these different things, it's like you eliminate, we create these definitions of ourselves and all of that, and we exclude ourselves from everything. And it's like, and you know, and I get it, but it's just, it's, none of it's real, none of it's light. Like that is when you truly got to get that if it's not light, it's not you.
Yeah.
You know, and stop. So now it's like, you know what, I feel like a heavy pile of poo. I'm going to make a choice that actually lightens me up.
Yeah. Rather than trying to figure out the heavy pile of poo, it's like,
Yeah.
no, that's not true for you.
Yeah, which is where
So
that one small choice comes in. It's like, you know what, go and get some ice cream, do something. I don't
yeah,
care what it is.
yeah,
You know, just
yeah,
make one choice. Because I know from a lot of experience, it's that one choice just to strive for lightness or seek it, or even when you're just like, I'm in a dark room, drill a hole in the wall. I don't know, whatever it takes, but
yeah,
find one speck, one spark of lightness with one choice,
yeah,
and the next one will be a lot easier, and the next one will be a lot easier, and the next one will be a lot easier. But it's the demand to make the demand that, you know what, there has to be something different available right now. There
yeah,
has to be,
yeah.
you know. But that's it. That's an aggressive ability to choose, and a tenacity that we all that a lot of us don't acknowledge.
Mm,
You know,
yeah,
aggressively seeking what's true for you, aggressively seeking that next, you know, the lightness, or, you know, going, you know what, this is, but that's the, like the thing I talked about before with the platform, is you start getting a sense of, you know what, that's just not me. I'm not going to choose that anymore. I know I might have been choosing it for the last 40 years of my life. Done. Not
yeah,
acceptable.
yeah. That's so cool. Well, one of the analogies I use a lot is this, like going to the gym, it's like if you say
Uh-huh.
you want to get stronger, I mean, you don't necessarily have to go to the gym, but like moving your body, exercising, whatever, if you do it once, you're like, okay, yeah, I did that, and if you would like to create this long-term change with your body, like you got to keep doing it, keep choosing it,
Yeah.
and just sitting there being like, yeah, I'm gonna get stronger.
Yeah,
Tapping your
I'm gonna get
toe.
stronger, and there's yeah, it's like, but it's, yeah, like with your body, you know, muscle memory. It's the
Yeah,
same with awareness. It's, you know, you get to a point where it becomes you,
yeah,
you know, but you've got to do the work, you
yeah,
know, because I've done it a lot in my life where I'm just like, please, happiness just happened to me.
yeah.
Um, can everything just come along and just happen to me? You know,
Dear universe.
yeah,
Remember
like
that thing
that.
about being a kept man?
Yeah, right. Can you dear universe, I'd like to be a kept man, and then when you give it to me, because I know you do like to actually contribute to me, when you give it to me, I'm going to resist it because I actually don't want to be a kept man, but it's my secret agenda running my life right now. So I'm going to reject me, and I'm going to reject you at the same time, and basically reject everything so that I never actually have to receive, so that I can never be who I'd like to be.
That sounds like so much fun.
And it
What a great
sounds like
plan.
so many people, and this is the
Totally.
thing, is it's like, I guarantee most people would have gone, oh shit, that sounds a little bit like me.
Totally.
So everything that is times God, so, and we destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pod and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds, you know. And it's just, it's like, oh, okay, there's one thing that it's like, you'll create a change with that, and then it's like, then it unlocks all these other different bits, and then you're like, oh, there's more space again, and you'll get that awareness of, oh, there's more space again. And
Yeah.
then, you know, there's more space, there's more space, there's more space, there's more space, and it's like, it's, you know, what else is possible?
Truly. Truly.
I
Yeah.
can't believe I just gave away my secret agenda. Oh my goodness. And I
For the
haven't really
world
feel about it,
to
apparently. I'm like, okay, whatever.
well, we can always, delete the recording.
Yeah, edit it out. Can you edit
Yeah.
it out? You're like, I'll be
I'm
halfway through talking about it, and you're just like, and then this is the blank spot for 10 minutes.
This is where we play elevator music.
Yeah. I said nothing about secret agendas and kept man and all that shit.
Just in case you thought you were getting out of the matrix. No. Oh my God, I love it. Wow. Well, thank you so much. This is really
You're so
beautiful.
welcome.
Yeah, I'm excited
Thank
for
you.
people to hear it. And we'll make sure and, bleep out all those parts where you expose
Yeah,
yourself. And
yeah, totally. Just bleep them, bleep
yeah.
away.
Yeah. Yeah. So where can people find more Brendon in the world?
You can check out my website. It's brendonwatt.com. I actually, tomorrow, I've started this new just free video series that I'm doing called Misfits Guide to Living.
Oh, cool.
And it's just going to be, you'll see it. It'll be on social. It'll be just out there. And it's like, check it out. Cause it's like, I know what it's like to be a misfit. And also it's like, you know, we have so many, like even this conversation is like, you're just like, oh, that's a little bit refreshing when you can actually get some information of what's stopping you, you know, not from this science, you know, from this reality's point, you know, you got to peel the onion and do all this. It's like, no, you get one awareness and you're free of however many lifetimes of shit that you've been living as if it's you when it isn't.
Yeah, totally. Wow. Yeah. Rewind, repeat on this conversation. I'm going to be listening to it again. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks everybody for being here. And we will see you next time. Have fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining me for the Creation of Living podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it and leave me a review. If you would like more, you can find all kinds of resources and upcoming events at heathernichols.com. Until next time, remember, my beautiful friends, the world thrives when you do.